I tell this to all my leadership teams. There's two things we all want in this world. The first is to feel safe, and the second is to matter.
Talk to me about that. What happened during that process? How did you guys scale from 2 to 18?
Quite frankly, it's because my brother, sister, and I, because we couldn't get on the same page ourselves, we couldn't really create a plan and a vision for the rest of the company. But I think it's because the three of us could not get aligned and we weren't honest with ourselves about what we really wanted. Entrepreneurs have a big heart. Visionaries have a big heart. They genuinely care about their people. They want to provide good jobs and they want to give back to their community. But let's be honest, sometimes that big heart gets in the way.
So in relation to EOS then, what types of clients are ideal for you?
Well, beyond that, it really comes down to mindset. That means, and I'll just say it, you gotta be ready to rip the Band-Aid off the business. But let's be honest, what's worse? Keeping somebody in a position to where they're not thriving, or helping them exit well so they can find something that really fits them.
All right, everyone. Welcome to The Show Goes On, a podcast about the people who keep businesses running behind the scenes. My name is Aamir, and today I'm joined by Kyle Danner. Kyle, great to have you.
Aamir, thanks for the invitation. Happy to be here with you today.
Awesome. So when people ask you what you do, how do you usually answer?
I help business owners get what they want from their business. And I do that through a set of a proven process and a set of tools called EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's based on a book written by Gino Wickman, who created EOS and then took it to the world. And so the cool thing about what I do, Aamir, is it's not just me. I'm actually in a community of 900, we call ourselves implementers. We're leadership team coaches, 900 implementers around the world. And together we've done over 270,000 session days and worked with over 33,000 leadership teams and companies.
Wow. So there's over 900 implementers now.
They are not worldwide. Yeah, we are truly EOS worldwide now. It's really exciting.
That's incredible. And I thought it was in the United States. I didn't realize it's all over the world now.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Wow. When was your first exposure to EOS? How did you come about it?
So I grew up in a family business, and I can share a little bit more about later on, but I ended up working kind of coaching family businesses around succession and exit planning, primarily on the family side of things. Mm-hmm. They asked, hey, we appreciate what you're doing for the family. What can you do for the business? I'm not a business consultant. The talent I bring to the table is facilitation, getting people around the table to have the conversations they need to have. And so I was looking for either a tool, a process, a way in which to do that, but on the business side. And someone handed me the book Traction. I read it and it's like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. And oh my gosh, I wish we would have had this in our family's business.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that before when someone picks up Traction and they read it and they're like, oh my God, where was this like years ago? Like, this is exactly what I needed because it's so tactical and practical.
Exactly. Well, we're good at what we do from a technician perspective. Like, we're really good at delivering our product or service. Well, if we're going to grow our business, we got to have people, to help us to do that. And how do we organize the people? And so my dad was a United States Marine Corps gunnery sergeant, and he was big on leadership, but he has very much that command and control style. Mm-hmm. You do it because I told you to. Well, that doesn't really work in the real world, really understanding human psychology and all that. So that's, I think, one of the really cool things that what we are able to do through EOS is through having a set of tools, having a language, having a structure and a proven process to help organize and harness that human energy. So you as a business owner with a leadership team can really get everything you want from your business.
Yeah, for sure. And so you had referenced family businesses, right? I want to know more about your story. You have a family business background, so I'd love to hear about it.
Well, as I said, my dad was a Marine Corps gunnery sergeant. My mom was a surgical scrub nurse. When Dad got out of the Marines, he became a serial entrepreneur. And by the time I came along, he had a delivery business, and one that he kind of created himself. He bought, and then he kind of grew. And so we had the delivery trucks, Ford Econoline vans parked out in front of the house, which I'm sure the neighbors loved. But starting at 4 years old, I would ride with them, after school, during the summer, all over Kansas City. That's where I'm based, where I grew up and I'm currently based. And that's where I got my first taste of business. And when I turned 16, he gave me a route. I was running that after school. We were working on the weekends. We got into a packaging and shipping store for all sorts of reasons. And over the years, the business morphed into what became a small print shop that my brother and sister owned. I joined full-time right out of college. My plan was to go to graduate school. I was going to be a college professor like my other sister. That didn't quite work out. So I kind of invited myself into the family business. I'll stay here for a year. Well, a year turned into 17 years. And during that time, we grew up from about a dozen employees and a couple million in revenue to over 80 employees and 18 million. And so that's a really wild ride. We were at the leading edge of our industry, and it was great, but it wasn't the place for me. I knew it, my family knew it, our team knew it, but we didn't know how to talk about it. And so it got to the point to where the business needed somebody who had that. And at the time, what I was running, Aamir, was I was the chief information officer. Okay, now the chief information, that title is what you give your little brother when you don't know what else to call him, and he's kind of doing some helping with some software development, some technical stuff, and that's what you call him. Well, I was not a true CIO. I had no interest in becoming a true CIO, and the business needed that real formal leadership for it to grow. So my sister said, "Hey, I'll buy you out. Go find your path, do what you want to do in life." And so I took her up on it. So she bought me out. We completed the deal in the fall of 2010, and then I went back to graduate school. I was going to be a therapist. And as I always tell people, say whatever you want about 17 years in a family business, deciding to be a therapist after that. But along the way, I kind of found this area of family business advising. Okay, how do you help both the family and the business work better together? Also saw this whole succession boom that's happening right now, the succession wave with baby boomers needing to exit their business. And for a lot of times, sometimes the easy button is to keep it in the family. Okay. Well, that, of course, brings all sorts of challenges with it. And their existing advisors like bankers, attorneys, and accountants, they didn't know how to manage the family dynamics. And so that's what I can come in and help facilitate family meetings, facilitate the process, coach advisors on how to work with family businesses. And I was primarily focused on the family side of things. Well, I was getting feedback, hey, we appreciate what you're doing for the family. What can you do for the business? So that's something looking for a solution. That's what led me to EOS. And now I work with businesses of all kinds, all different stages, whether they just want to run a better business and not work 80 hours a week, whether they really want to grow it, call it scaling or accelerating, whatever you want to call it, or they are looking at some type of transition in the future, knowing that either it might be selling to private equity, it might be passing off to family members, whatever the case may be. And I work across all kinds of industries. It's really a lot of fun. It's really great work.
That's incredible. And, you were talking about your story, and what really caught me towards the beginning was you guys scaled from 2 million to 18 million. That must have been quite a ride. Talk to me about that. What happened during that process? How did you guys scale from 2 to 18?
We said yes to everything. We didn't really have a clear plan. We didn't know quite what we wanted to deliver to the marketplace. But because we are adaptable and quite frankly, we just worked our tails off, you know how entrepreneurs are.
Right.
We'll say yes, and we'll say yes and not know quite how we're going to get it out the door, but come hell or high water, the work's going to go
make
out.
It happen.
We are going to make it happen. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And some opportunities came along, especially kind of where what we were doing is we were taking customer data and marrying it with sending it to digital press and customizing mail pieces to the recipient. We were really big in the real estate space, residential real estate, as well as casino gaming, which was kind of interesting. And that helped really fuel our growth. To be able to step in and show ourselves to be trustworthy, we knew how to do it. We could deliver on time and deliver well. And that's how we grew. but it wasn't really without a lot of, we were always thinking about, okay, we got to get the work outdoor this week, but really, what are we doing for the long term? Why are we here? And where do we want to go? And quite frankly, it's because my brother, sister, and I, because we couldn't get on the same page ourselves, we couldn't really create a plan and a vision for the rest of the company. Now, I always like to throw this disclaimer in. I'm sharing my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Go talk to my brother and sister. They might share something different. So I'm kind of speaking for myself. But I think it's because the three of us could not get aligned and we weren't honest with ourselves about what we really wanted. We, of course, that impacted the rest of the business. Now, despite all that, we made it happen. We got to 18 million. But at that point, it was really clear I was not the fit that they needed from a technical expertise. So that's why I left.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, and you guys said you grew from like 12 employees to 80 something, right?
Yep, 80 employees.
Do you feel like those employees could feel that you guys were not on the same page?
They knew it. I mean, there are times when we were in, meetings and they could see the tension and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But we also genuinely cared about them. I mean, we really cared about our people. We did what we could to take care of them, to provide good livings, good opportunities, and they could see that. And I think that's what happens with a lot of entrepreneurs is entrepreneurs have a big heart. Visionaries have a big heart. And so they're, at least the ones I work with, I think the ones we come across in our EOS community is they genuinely care about their people. They want to provide good jobs and they want to give back to their community. But let's be honest, sometimes that big heart gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you say yes to things that maybe you shouldn't. You keep people around longer than maybe you should. All sorts of things, kind of that big heart creates some obstacles. But I think we have a lot of loyalty. And what's interesting now is I'm the implementer for my sister's bit. For she's now a majority owner of the company. We've had a lot of long-term employees. There are people who have been there. The business is over 30 years old. They have employees that have been there almost 30 years.
Wow.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, that says a lot, I think, too, about when I left, how my brother and sister continue to run the business, take care of people. It's also created a huge issue because you've got a young workforce, you've got a lot of young folks, okay, maybe in their 20s, early 30s, and then you have these folks in their 50s and 60s nearing retirement, and you have this gap in between.
Yeah.
And that is normal for a lot of businesses out there that are kind of going through the succession wave now. So you have this huge gap in human leader and that leadership development that I think I'm seeing in all the clients, all the teams I'm working with now.
You've talked about this succession wave a couple of times. So
yeah.
What is it and how do you solve for it? What do you do?
Holy cow. That's several podcast episodes actually. No. So here's what we have. Baby boomers, the baby boomer generation, typically think, right now, I think baby boomers might be like between 60 years old up to 85 years old, somewhere like that. A lot of them started businesses. And so they're now, and they grew those businesses. And now they're at the point to where they're older. They don't have the energy. They want to exit. They want to go do other things. Maybe there's health issues or health considerations. Whatever the case may be, they need to exit their business. Well, we know entrepreneurs, they start businesses because they like control. They trust themselves. They believe in themselves. They will continually reinvest in their business because they can control it. Okay. Well, that means 70 to 80, maybe 90% of their wealth is in the business. And now they've got to be able to extract that wealth in such a way that it doesn't crush them, like from a tax burden, whatever the case may be. And so this challenge that so many baby boomer business owners are dealing with is, how do I take all the wealth I've built in my business over the years? How do I extract it so I can do my next chapter of my life and take care of my family? Now, the other aspect of it is because they like control, they like to have their hands on things. A lot of these businesses are owner-centric. They're owner-dependent, meaning the owner is making all the decisions. They're still signing all the checks. all deals flow through them. A lot of times they're the number one salesperson because, hey, I want to work with the owner. I want to work with the owner, Aamir. I don't want to work with anybody else because I know when I talk to Aamir, it's going to get done. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they've got this challenge of being able to they've got to extract themselves out of that day-to-day decision making. And for a lot of businesses, they haven't done that yet. And so that's another obstacle. That means that they probably have not fully developed both their leadership team, if they've got one, as well as a lot of the younger workforce that's coming into the business. So imagine you start your business at 25, 30 years old, you work your tail off for 30 years, you've provided a really great lifestyle for you and your family, and now somebody like me comes in and says, hey, you want to sell your business? Here are the things you have to do. And it's like, are you kidding me? I busted my tail for 30 years and now I've got to still do all of this to where I can get the maximum value from my business. Because, if somebody's going to come in and buy your business, they want a good, solid running operation that they can step in and take over, not something where they're going to have to find a way to replace you and all the decisions and everything that's built around you.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. So what, in today's day and age then, right, when you see all these baby boomers trying to, I guess, extract the value, right? What's a good way for them to go about this? Like, how can they find a way to extract all this value that you're talking about? What can they do? Where do they turn to?
Yeah. So there's a really great organization out there called the Exit Planning Institute. And before I became an EOS implementer, I became what they called a CEPA, a Certified Exit Planning Advisor, because I knew that in my family business practice, I needed to understand how do you go about succession planning. What's the really great thing about EPI? There's a couple things that set them apart. Because Aamir, if you and I are talking, and let's say you're thinking about exiting your business, and I start talking to you about succession planning, hey, Aamir, we really need to talk about succession planning. You're an entrepreneur. Your eyes are going to roll in the back of your head, and you're going to yawn. Really? Succession planning? No, thank you. Instead, the way in which they position is, how do you build value in your company so you can exit on your own terms? So rather than think about succession planning, think about from a value acceleration, because that's really what we're trying to do, is we're trying to increase the value of your company so you can get the maximum amount when you're ready to exit. That's one of their things that they really kind of talk about. The other thing is, so often when a business owner is thinking about selling their business, they start at the end. What can I get for my business? That's the last place you want to start. Okay. Kind of think business. And they talk about this three-legged stool of personal, financial, and business. Well, so many owners like, what can I get for my business? And they end up going to talk to their neighbor who sold theirs, completely different industry, completely different business. And that's what they get stuck. Oh, that's what I can get for my business. No. Where you want to start is you want to start with the personal side, meaning what is my next chapter going to look like? So if I want to exit when I'm 60 or 65, I probably have another 20, 25 years of living left. All right. What do I want to do in that 20 to 25 years? How do I want to take care of my family? What do I want my legacy to look like? Well, there's a dollar sign to all of that. Okay. Well, you've got to figure out what is the dollar sign. And then you have to establish, what do I have today, both for my personal assets, all right, everything, real estate, business, other investments, and what is my business worth? And a lot of times there's a gap. And so then you have to figure out, how am I going to fill that gap? And that's when you start thinking about, how do I separate myself from my business so it can run on its own? How do I build a leadership team? How do I protect the intellectual property that's in my business, and so on and so on. And so that's really kind of how a business owner has to look at it. The challenge with that is that's a lot of moving parts to think about while you're still also running your business. And so you think I've busted my tail for 30, 35 years. I'm tired. I'm older. I don't have the energy that I used to have. And now you want me to do all of this. And so that's one of the things for a business owner to really think about is how do you surround yourself with a group of experts, a group of advisors who are going to help you along this path. And it's not, and one of the other mistakes I see business owners make is I'm going to go talk to my banker, I'm going to go talk to my accountant, I'm going to go talk to my attorney, all right, and maybe a couple other people, but they never get them around the table. So they're doing this from a siloed operation, and it needs to be a much more global, much more comprehensive approach to thinking about how do you go about exiting your business.
Interesting. So you're suggesting that they all get together then?
Absolutely. So first of all, you want to get clear on like, what do I really want to do? So it's like sitting down, with your husband or your wife saying, hey, I want to let's start thinking about, I hate using the retirement word because entrepreneurs do not retire. But how do we like really start thinking about the next chapter of our business or next chapter of our life? Have that conversation, bring in your financial advisor. And so often what I see with a lot of business owners is they treat, here's my business, here's my financial advisor, and I never connect the two of them. But yet 70% of your wealth could very much be tied up in your business. You've got to have a really good financial advisor who's going to be able to understand what could you possibly extract from it. So not only do you need to have your financial planner at the table, you need to have a business valuation expert or business broker, somebody like a leadership team coach like myself, an exit planning advisor like a SEPA, then your attorney, banker, and accountant. You got to have all these people around the table because there's tax ramifications, there's timing, there's different ways in which you can exit your business and still achieve your goals. And so you've got to have your team around you, and your team really has to understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. Like, what is it you really want to accomplish here?
Mm-hmm. So Kyle, I've noticed like throughout your career, you've gotten into counseling, teaching, and coaching. You seem to have a knack for wanting to help people. Where did this come from?
I would say, so we grew up Catholic, and seeing my mom go and volunteer at church had a huge impact. I used to go with her when I was a little kid, parish suppers and events and stuff, all that. And watching my dad, when he retired from the Marine Corps, he was really involved in the Toys for Tots. Aamir, was something as simple as seeing every Sunday before church, mom writing out the check that she put in the envelope that went into the collection basket at that time in church. So there's been this whole thing. And then, even in our, even in the business, now there's an organization locally called Operation Breakthrough that provides childcare services to, underprivileged and people in challenging economic conditions. We've had almost a 30-year relationship with that organization, promote, helping them. So, this whole notion of service. And let me back up. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. But when I left the business, one of the things I had to do was figure out what is my guiding statement? Like what am I going to do next? And I came up with this. I spend my day helping people lead better lives. However they define better, but that's what I am supposed to do. That's my purpose on earth, is to help people. One of the things that really pulled me into EOS is one of our core values is help first. You can get everything you want in your life if you help others get everything they want. But you go in with this genuine heart of helping, not expecting anything in return, but that genuine helping. And when I have done that, it comes back to me tenfold. Yeah. It's not why I do it. It's what drives me, but that's the benefit.
It is true, right? I've noticed that throughout life as well. Whenever you give, you give back so much more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what's really interesting is it's like, you probably have experiences in your own family where you see your parents doing that same thing. It's like they don't sit down and say, we need to, we're going to give so much to the church or so much to our organization or whatever.
Yeah.
But you see them doing it. There's a really great, more is caught than taught. We learn so much more by observing, like what our parents, and that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that just sits with me today.
More is caught than taught. I
Yeah,
like that.
more is caught than taught.
I've not heard that before, but that's true.
Yeah.
Basically, you kind of learn a lot more by just
Mhm.
observing and seeing rather than
Yeah.
being told.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we know when people what's the other was the other is well, it's around actions speak louder than words. It's a
Mhm.
lot like that. Somebody could stand up here, be saying something, and they could do something completely different, and that sticks with us.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, talk to me a little bit more about EOS, right? You got drawn into it, and how's that going now? How have you been approaching that?
It has been, I would say, so we talk about when we take a leadership team, when we start working with a leadership team, we talk about taking them on their EOS journey. And it's a journey you never finish. Okay. What's really interesting is that there's also when you become an implementer, you go on a journey yourself. You discover and learn a lot about yourself, and it's business development, right? We're in sales. If we're going to go out and build a practice, we got to go out and sell EOS. There's a way in which we do it. It's about the help first. Deliver as much value as you can before you get anything in return. Kind of lead with that heart, and really do one of our other core values is do the right thing. So one of the things I love about how we work is that, Amir, you could raise your hand and say, "Hey, Kyle, I'm interested in EOS." I'm like, I come in and I talk to you and realize, "Hey, Amir, I don't think we'd be a fit, for me to come and work with your team, but I know another implementer. I know somebody else who might be a better fit." And so it's about this very much abundance minded. Let's make sure, if you're going to do this, let's make sure the fit, now is the right time for you and your team to do it. And I'm the right implementer. And if I'm not, I'm going to go find somebody who is. And so that's that, leading with that heart, leading with, that help first, do the right thing mentality is really, that's what gets you so much farther in the world than anything else. And I'm sorry, I got off track.
No, you're okay.
Yeah,
You've said a couple of times about heart too, right? Visionaries have a
yeah,
big heart, and then
yeah,
also leading with the heart as well. And I
yeah,
feel like if you
absolutely,
put that at the core of what you're doing, it kind of just flows out of you naturally. Then.
exactly. And part of leading with a heart too, Amir, is, you know, and I come from my own personal experience and the fact that I stayed in the family business longer than I should have.
Hmm.
And sometimes, leading with the heart is helping somebody exit, helping them find something that's a better fit for their life. And at first, that, especially in the US, like how always rubbed me the wrong way. But let's be honest, what's worse? Keeping somebody in a position to where they're not thriving, all right, or helping them exit well so they could find something that really fits them.
Right.
Because if we keep them in, and the thing about family business is a lot of times, hey, we're going to protect somebody, we're going to take care of somebody, we're going to give them a job in the business. Okay, we think we're helping them. Ultimately, what we're doing, we're holding them back. We're frustrating everybody around them. All right. And ultimately, we're holding the business back. We're not doing what's best for the business. And so
Mhm.
I kind of come from an approach of you take care of the business, you'll take care of the family. So I take a business first approach. That's a 180-degree turn from how I used to think about it. But ultimately, it's what's best for everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that. You have to figure out if it's truly going to work for you, right?
absolutely. And parents, so think about mixing family and business together. Parents, you know, they don't want to see their kids struggle.
Hmm.
They worked hard so their kids didn't have to struggle. But Amir, that's where we learn, right? We
Yeah.
learn by getting our tails kicked.
Yeah.
And as much as it is hard for parents to watch that, that's where we learn all of our lessons.
Yeah. Struggle is the meaning of life, I think.
Okay? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, so in relation to EOS, then what types of clients are ideal for you? Like, what are the types of clients that you walk in and you're like, oh, I got this. I know exactly what we need to get
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. So the kind of the two, privately held entrepreneurial companies, typically 10 to 250 employees. Well, beyond that, it really comes down to mindset. Okay. That means, and I'll just say it, you got to be ready to rip the Band-Aid off the business. Okay. That means you have to be ready for change. You have to be ready to make decisions. You have to be ready to work on the business. That means you have to be open to new ideas, open to that change that you say you want. You got to be honest with yourselves. You got to be honest with the people around the table. You have to be honest about really what is the current state of the business. There's a lot of great stuff there. Every business I come across, even the ones where they feel under a lot of pressure, they feel like everything's a train wreck. There's a lot of great stuff there. Okay. But let's be honest also about the stuff that you need to work on. And being honest means you got to be vulnerable. You got to let your guard down. You got to get out on the table. And it starts with the visionary. It starts with the founder of the business. And that's a really big ask for them to do, because you're kind of asking them to open themselves up to all kinds of criticism and all kinds of challenges in front of their team, in front of their entire company. Okay. That's a huge, huge ask. Ask them to be vulnerable, to be open to kind of the frustrations of things.
Yeah.
But if they're willing to do that and they're appreciative and they want to grow, however they define growth, holy cow, I love to work with folks like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to the visionary being able to be vulnerable, I mean, that takes years of practice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And even then, it still feels super uncomfortable to be able to do that, not only with yourself and sit with it, but also with your entire team. You almost feel a little exposed. And absolutely. I feel like entrepreneurs in particular, you're used to holding things close to your chest. You want to seem like Superman and that you got this every single time.
Yep.
And it's almost tough to admit, I don't got this. I don't know what I'm doing, and I need your help.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things for any visionary who's listening in. You also have to have a peer group. One of the things we talk about in EOS is so we work with the leadership team. All right. But when we think about the visionary, EOS is great for the visionary and their leadership team, but the visionary also has to peer group other business owners who know what it's like, where they can sit around the table and know no one in the room's got it. And yet they're in a safe place. Because let's be honest, no one knows what it's like to be a business owner except for other business owners. Even hard going home and talking to your husband and wife or your partner in the evening, unless they're a business owner, they don't really understand all the stress, the pressure.
Yeah.
And then the other part is to have a really good coach, an individual coach that can help your own professional development. When a visionary has that around them, holy cow, the things they can achieve are truly amazing.
Yeah, I feel like they can be unlocked then, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Ownership is ownership is a lonely game.
Yeah.
And unless you're around other owners where you can really let the facade down and share with what's going on. So that's why I really like to work with owners who are involved in, peer groups like Vistage, EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, Young Presidents Organization, Acumen, C12, whatever it is, that they're willing to do that. Their success with EOS is so much greater because they're already doing that hard work with other business owners.
Yeah. I think what you had said earlier, you equip yourself with a coach, with a peer group, perhaps an operating system like EOS.
Absolutely.
If you're able to hit a couple of those things, then, there's no telling what you are capable of, right? If you just have the right tools and the right arsenal around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Kyle, what's next for you? What does the next 5 years look like for you?
Next 5 years. So the cool things that's happened the last year is because of the growth. I've doubled my practice over the last year, 18 months. I'm a practice manager running all the day-to-day in the background, so I'm not stuck in the weeds, so I can do that higher level thinking. I want to continue growing my practice. I now have a session room in downtown Kansas City. That was a big, huge move for me. And if I was going to do this, I wanted to be able to walk to work. That's a huge check mark. So I can walk to work now, which I absolutely love. Aamir, I think the next thing is for me is that continual development. How can I better serve my clients? Because where we're at today, we are facing some really challenging times, whether it's socially, politically, economically, business-wise. There's a lot of chaos in the world. Well, to the visionaries I work with, to leadership teams, one of the things I really drive home is how can you create a business? How can you create an environment to where people can step in? And yeah, there's all that craziness going on around the world, but when they come to work, they know exactly what's expected of them. They know that they're a right person. They fit the culture of the organization. They know what's expected of them day in and day out. They know where the company is going for the long term. They know they have a culture to where they can really call out issues. They can call out problems, offer ideas and opportunities, and they'll be heard. If you can create an environment like that, oh my gosh, you will thrive in any circumstance.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as I get clear and clear on that, that's what I really want to do for the, not only for the people I work with, but also really talking about the larger business community.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that vulnerability and ability to call things out starts with a really strong L10, right? If you have a great leadership meeting where people feel like they can say things and not feel reprimanded and call issues out, then you can really get to the bottom of things, right? And then you can IDS the right way and actually, see progress week over week then.
Absolutely. But it really starts with that whole open and honest.
Yeah.
Letting taking the risk, letting your guard down, putting the issues out on the table. And if you've got a culture that supports that, you can.
So I'm sure you've come across a team before where you're thinking like, oh man, this team is not open and honest with each other. Yeah. What have you done to help them get through that and combat that feeling of we can't really talk about things?
Yeah. I think first of all, what you have to do is you have to be willing to call it out. We use Patrick Lencioni's term, enter the danger.
Yeah.
Team, we have to enter the danger. So first of all, just calling it out. Okay. And we're now going to have a hard conversation. All right. Now, of course, that kind of perks everybody up and the walls start going up, but at least you're making it clear we're going to go there. And then it's being able to say, team, it feels like, it seems like, it sounds like there's an issue here that we're afraid to touch. Tell me how I'm wrong. And then be quiet. And this is the hardest part as a facilitator, because we think as a coach or a facilitator, we've got to be talking because that's when we're delivering our value. No, that's when we have to be quiet. And then it gets to the point where it's uncomfortable enough where somebody offers something up, and they're kind of dipping their toe in the water, and then we follow that trail. And it's also bringing with it the empathy for these people. I was in the business for 17 years. I knew it was probably not the place for me, but I knew how hard it was to talk about it. I bring that empathy. I bring that perspective to be able to, open the door, crack the door a little bit for teams to be able to step into and start having those conversations and not think about it as, somebody's deficient. Think about it in a negative light. It's just natural how we are as human beings. This is hard work. We just have to acknowledge that.
That question, can you clarify that when you said, tell me how I'm wrong? Why is that question asked?
So that actually, that question comes from, the way I phrased it comes from our book that's recently been published called Fight Less, Win More. It's written by Jonathan Smith. He's an expert EOS implementer based in New York City. He is also he's also trained in the Black Swan negotiation process. Chris Voss. Yeah. And so Jonathan became Chris Voss's, Black Swan's implementer. He really took to the whole system and the process. And so he started training to become a Black Swan coach. And he did that. And now he just published this book probably in the last couple of months, Fight Less, Win More. And you think about, so Chris Voss wrote Never Split the Difference. That book is now just 10 years old. I think it's their 10-year anniversary just was this week. And so that's kind of the theory. Fight less, win more is much more the tactical application. So the tell me how I'm wrong is is kind of like a no oriented question. And Jonathan, if you're listening, I'm getting it wrong. Give me a little grace here, man. But what it is we can't resist to tell somebody how they're wrong. It's just part of human nature. If you say something, Amir, I can't wait to tell you how you're wrong. Well, when you set up a question like, tell me how I'm wrong, all right, it's like bait. People can't resist. And one of two things will happen. They'll say, well, no, you're right. There is this issue here we don't want to touch. We don't want to touch it, and we're afraid to touch it because of this. Or no, this is really the issue. Or they will tell you how you're wrong. That's not it at all. You're completely off base. Great. Help me understand. Or how do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of a way, it's a little bit of a psychological, little twist on words, a little bit of psychology there to get people talking.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it kind of breaks down the walls then. If you think
it does,
right?
It does. Absolutely. And people are always afraid to take a guess.
Yeah.
Because they think, well, what happens if I'm wrong? Don't worry. Somebody will tell you if you're wrong or not. Yeah. Or they'll confirm your understanding.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. And before we end, I want to go through some rapid fire questions, if that's cool with you.
Perfect. Let's shoot.
All right, cool. Favorite book? I know you just talked about one, but I'm curious what your other favorite book is.
My other favorite book, it's a book on family systems by Murray Bowen.
Okay. Is it called Family Systems?
I would have to look it up, but yeah, it's on family systems, family dynamics. It's not just family, but human relations. So
okay, by Murray Bowen.
Murray Bowen, yeah, he was a pioneer in the field of family systems theory.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's not a page turner. Actually, I'll tell you what, a better book, but in the same thing is Everything Isn't Terrible by Kathleen Smith.
Everything Isn't Terrible.
Yeah, by Kathleen Smith. And so Murray Bowen is very kind of very academic. She breaks it down into very easily understandable, this is what how you apply systems thinking.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got family systems thinking.
And then everything isn't
terrible. And then before, Fight Less, Win More now.
Fight Less, Win More, yeah.
I have 3 book recommendations. This is great.
Actually, skip the Murray Bowen book because it's dense, it's heavy. But yeah, Fight Less, Win More.
Okay.
And then Everything Isn't Terrible by Kathleen Smith.
Okay, sounds good. And I know you're a Kansas City guy, but what's your favorite city to visit?
Favorite city to visit is New York.
New York.
I have a client up there I've been working. I love going to New York.
It's the best city. My brother and I always talk about this. It's the best city in the world.
I mean, you walk out on the streets at 2:00 in the morning and it's like it is alive.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then you just give it like 5 hours and it's the same thing again at 7 a.m.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And your favorite TV show?
Oh gosh, favorite TV. Okay, so I just stopped. The Boys just ended.
Okay. Is the whole series done now?
The whole series is ended. Yeah, they just did the whole. I won't go into whether they did it right, they did it wrong, but it is just so incredibly offensive and in your face and dark, and that's what I love. I love just kind of that really dark, in your face kind of humor.
Yeah. I only watched the first season. I never got through the rest of it.
I think it's good for about season 2, maybe 3. Then, like everything else, it starts jumping the shark.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other one I absolutely love too is Veep, because again, it is just so cringy and uncomfortable and hilarious.
And true. I mean,
exactly. And true.
We live in a simulation, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah. There's a whole other series of podcasts too.
Yeah. Well, hey man, thanks so much for joining today. Before we sign off, any final takeaways you want to leave with the audience?
I would say this. I tell this to all my leadership teams. There's 2 things we all want in this world. The first is to feel safe, and the second is to matter. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you think about working with somebody, when you think about working with your leadership team, or even just in your family. People, we all want to feel safe. It's that psychological safety. All right. We got to make sure that that's there. And then we all want to matter. Okay. And by that, I mean, we want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want to be understood. All right. And the thing that's really hard about that is we got to put ourselves in the back seat, focus on the other person, and then it'll come back to us. When we focus on those two things, oh my gosh, the impact that we have on our relationships is so much more. We get so much more out of our life. It's such a richer experience.
I love that, Kyle. People need two things. First is to feel safe. Second is that we matter.
Yeah. And we all want it.
Yeah.
We all want it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, hey, thank you so much. It was very great having you on today, and definitely hope to stay in touch.
Great, Aamir. Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.